Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Neelambujashya Malakomalangam Sita Samaropita Vamabhagam Pano Mahasayaka Charuchapam Namami Ramam Raghuvamshanatham Atulita Baladhamam Hemashelabhadeham Danujavana Krishanum Jnaninamagraganyam Sakala Guna Nidhanam Vanaranamadhisham Raghupati Priya Bhaktam Vatajatam Namami. In the Aranyakanda of Ramcharitmanas, there are many teachings which we come across. And one of the central teachings or portions that comes here is the Śrī Rāma Gita. So this is when Bhagavan, Sita ji and Lakshman have reached Panchavati and when all is well on a quiet day, Bhagavan is sitting peacefully, Lakshman goes to him and asks some questions. And all of those are answered by Bhagavan, with special importance being given to devotion. So Lakshman is very happy to hear all of this, and they spend a few days in this way discussing such things. This is also a great indication for us as to how we can spend our time. Very often when people have free time, the thing that we look to occupy our time with is some entertainment, right? As soon as you're free, you've finished with your work for the day, generally what do people do? They either go and switch on the TV or the radio or pick up a book and just something to entertain the mind with. And here at every moment what you see, whenever there is any spare time, whether it's Śrī Rāma and Lakshman here in this forest or even later, they spend their time only in satsang. They're not spending their time discussing anything else. For us, we refresh ourselves, or we feel that the way to refresh our mind after a period of hard work or some struggle is by indulging in something of the world, right? That's why people work so hard for 50 weeks of the year, so that 2 weeks of the year they can go on holiday and sit on a beach somewhere and just do nothing. Why? Because that's the means of relaxation, right? But for a spiritual seeker, for somebody who is interested in spirituality, the way that we refresh our mind is through satsang, right? Is through being in touch with the scriptural teaching, or just through remembrance of God. Maybe it's not necessarily study, maybe it's just either personally or in a group of people, just remembrance of the Lord. This is, when we say that Rama avatar is to demonstrate dharma, at every step we have been seeing, everything that Śrī Rāma does is to set an example for us, right? When you look at Krishna avatar, then generally it's safer to follow what Bhagavan Krishna says and not what he does. Because what he does, not everybody can do. But in Rama avatar, as Bhagavan does, we can also do. Right? He is setting the example himself through his behavior. So they spend a few days in this way, and now the story has to keep moving, right? So there is a different sort of episode that comes here, which is sort of going to make sure that we keep moving towards our destination. Now, Bhagavan, Sita ji, Lakshman ji are very peacefully, happily residing in Panchavati. One day, Śūrpanakhā Ravana ke bahin. Śūrpanakhā or Śūrpanakhā, who is the sister of Ravan, who is Dushta Hridaya. She has a very wicked heart. Daruna Jasu Ahini, she's like a snake. She's very wicked and sort of underhand. She's not very good person. This is her introduction as well, right? You can tell a lot about a person by how they are introduced, or even how they introduce themselves. So Śūrpanakhā's introduction is Ravan's sisters. From the beginning, you know nothing good is going to come here. So she's very wicked. Śūrpanakhā, Nakha means nail, right? Nails. Śūrpa is the word for, nowadays you don't really see, but when they had grains, right, in the home, and you have to separate the grain from whatever that other bit is called. So they used to have these sort of white kind of baskets that has like a rim on this side, and then on this side it's open, and it's like big. And then they would take it and they would shake, right? So they would put grain and chaff. So they would have to separate, right? So Śūrpanakhā means whose nails were like those things that were used to separate the grain. Means she had such big, long nails. So this is her defining characteristic, which really tells you all you need to know about her. The most noticeable thing about her were her long nails. So, this Śūrpanakhā, Panchavati so gai eka bara. Once she goes to Panchavati. And when she sees these two brothers, Dekhi Bikala Bhai Jugala Kumara, she gets very excited because she is seeing Bhagavan Ram and Lakshmanji. Now, why is she getting excited? Here, this Bikala means, in her mind, the thought of desire arises. So she sees both of them, and suddenly she is filled with desire. Now, Bhrata Pita Putra Uragari Purusha Manohara Nirakhata Nari. Uragari is a name for Garuda. So if you remember in this Ramcharitmanas, there are 4 conversations going on, right? One is between Lord Shiva and Parvati ji. Shiv Bhagavan is telling the story to Parvati ji. One is between Yajnavalkya Muni and Bharadwaj Muni. One is between Kakabhushundi and Garuji. And one is between Tulasidas ji and his own mind. He's telling the story. So here, Uragari is the name for Garuda. So this is the conversation that is happening here. Kakabhushundi ji is telling Garuji, a brother, Pita, father, Putra, son. The woman who looks upon these 3 and whose mind is filled with desire, this is who Śūrpanakhā is. What is not said here is that this Śūrpanakhā is such that if it's her own brother, her own father, her own son, even then she has such a mind that could be filled with desire upon seeing them. This is her character, right? This is her nature. And we'll see the significance of, these three, because later her two other brothers will come. But there is no sort of level to which she will not stoop. She will go that far also, that there will be desire for even her own relatives in her mind. Now she sees Ram and Lakshman. Koi bikala saka manahina roki. She becomes so sort of agitated by her desire that her mind cannot even be restrained. There is no kind of, there is no check on that desire. There is no check on that mind. Normally, what happens for us, for most people, our desires are usually not in a sort of, they're within the realm of what's generally regarded as acceptable, right? Most people's desires are not for anything very sort of wrong. At the most, what do people want? Some good food to eat, some good place to sleep, some nice entertainment. That's it, basically, right? But some desires that arise in our mind, when they are for something wrong, we are able to recognize that, right? If by chance, we don't know, there may be some past vasana or some impression that is creating some desire, right? If by chance that desire enters into your mind, we are able to see that desire and to recognize this is not okay. I can't entertain this. This is not appropriate. And we'll put it aside. What is being described here is that person who has absolutely no sort of hesitation in terms of entertaining desire, but also indulging in any desire which arises. There is a complete lack of character here, right? Just completely led by the mind. So, such Śūrpanakhā, the example that is given, Jimmy Ravi Mani Drava Ravi Hi Biloki. So there is this example that is given that there is this money, means like a gem, and that gem is said to sort of absorb heat. So it itself remains cool, it absorbs heat. So here he's saying it's like the opposite, that this gem is giving heat in front of the sun. So Bhagavan is like the sun, and Śrūrpanakhā is like this jewel. She can't restrain herself. Ruchira Rupa Dhari Prabhu Pahi Jai. Now what she does is, she assumes this very beautiful form. And she goes to Bhagavan, Boli Bachana Bahuta Musukai. And she speaks to him. Bahuta Musukai means she's smiling a lot. So it's okay if you speak to someone and you have a, what is called in Sanskrit, Manda Smita. That's supposed to be very appealing, right? Someone has just a very gentle smile on their face and they're speaking to you. It's very nice. But somebody approaches you with a huge grin on their face and keeps talking to you. You think, what's happened to this person? Why are they so excited? And that too, one is they're strangers, right? Especially in London, anybody smiles who you don't know and comes and starts talking to you. Think, I should get away from here. Nobody even looks at each other in the city. Now somebody's grinning and she's coming to talk to him. And what does she say? This is in one way very humorous, but in another way it's very sort of, when you see what she's saying, it's also quite shocking. Because she's speaking to Bhagavan. Tuma sama purusha, na mo sama nari. There is no man like you. There is no woman like me. Yaha sanjoga bidhi racha bichari. Our match, our sort of pair has been made in heaven. We are so well suited to each other. So actually the first line is fine, right? Tuma sama purusha na. There is no man like you. So that's true. There is no one like Bhagavan. Namo samanari. It's also true that there is no woman like Śūrpanakhā. She is so terrible. But then she says that we are perfectly matched. As though Bhagavan, so the creator, has brought us together. Mama anurupa purusha jagamahi dekheu khoji lokatihu nahi. She says, I have looked in all three worlds and I have not found anyone any man who is suitable for me. I have not found anyone. What does that mean? She's been on the lookout, right? She's been going around everywhere looking for who can I marry. In earlier, you know what's said? When Bhagavan and Lakshman went with Vishwamitra Rishi to Janakpur, right? When they went to Mithila before the bow breaking ceremony. There, all the girls in Mithila, what they say is, because everybody sees Bhagavan and everyone starts talking about him, right? And all the girls are hearing about how beautiful this young man is. And what they say is, we have never heard of anyone like him in all three worlds. That means that all they know about the external world is just what they have heard, right? They have not gone looking, who is the most handsome man in the world? Let me find him. Śūrpanakhā has been on a quest, so she's gone everywhere and she's looking, who is the most handsome man in the world so that I can marry him. She says, I've not found anyone so far. Tate abalagi rahiu kumari. That's why she's completely shameless. Tate abalagi rahiu kumari. That's why up until now, I'm still a kumari. I'm unmarried. She had been married. Her husband died. And she is telling Bhagavan barefaced lie that, oh, I'm still like a young girl. I'm unmarried. That's why, because I haven't found anyone who can suit me. Manumana kachu tumahi nihari. Now I've seen you, and now I think that we should get married. So this is Śūrpanakhā's proposal to Bhagavan. Now Bhagavan, what will Bhagavan say now? Sitai chitai kahi prabhupata. Now Bhagavan does something very interesting. He looks at Sitaji. And looking at Sitaji, he speaks to Śūrpanakhā. And he doesn't say, he says one thing only. He says, Ahai kuar mora laghu brata. He looks at Sitaji and he says, my younger brother is Kuar. Kuar means, now Lakshman is also married, right? Lakshman got married same time as Bhagavan. But this Kuar word doesn't necessarily mean an unmarried man. This Kuar word, especially in certain areas in northern India, the dialect, Kuar just means just a man. So instead of replying to her proposal, Bhagavan just says, here's my younger brother. He is also here. Now there are a few things to note here. First, why does Bhagavan look at Sitaji and then talk to Śūrpanakhā? So one is, in this avatar, just as Sitaji is pointed out as the sort of pinnacle of what is called the pativrata, right? She's completely dedicated to her husband. Śrī Rāma is also completely dedicated to Sitaji. So he also has this sort of vow that he will not look at any other woman. So he doesn't even look at Śūrpanakhā, he just looks at Sitaji. And the other is to say that you are saying you're so beautiful. Bhagavan looks at Sitaji to say, who can compare to her? You are saying you're so beautiful. See who I'm already married to. There is no comparison. Or maybe he's looking at Sitaji to say, see this Śūrpanakhā. She's come here like this. But also, this is, if you think about if somebody does this to you, right? You go to someone and you speak to them, and that person, instead of looking at you and talking, looks at someone else and replies to you. Right? In other words, Bhagavan is saying, you are not even worth my time. I'm not even going to look at you. You don't deserve any attention. I will just look at Sitaji and I will speak. And when we see the symbolism, then we'll see why Bhagavan is doing this as well. So he says, this is my younger brother. Now, Śūrpanakhā immediately, Gai lachi mana ripu bhagini jani. Now she goes to Lakshman. And the word that is used to describe her, ripu bhagini, right? Again, the sister of the enemy, literally, means of Ravana. That means Bhagavan and Lakshman also knew, they weren't totally ignorant of who this is who has come to them. They were aware that this is the sister of Ravana. And see her mind, right? She immediately goes to Lakshman. When you're trying to choose between two things, right? And it could be something really simple and really mundane. If you are presented with an option, either this or this, and you say, I don't mind, I'll have either one, right? Then what does it mean? That really speaking, you don't have a desire for either one, and therefore you're ready to accept whatever comes, right? If you had a desire, then you would say, not that one, I want this one. But if there is no real desire, then you'll say, yeah, I'm fine with whatever. What is shown, this desire is so unrestrained, and this mind is so fickle, that desire can go from one to the other just like that. At one moment she's saying, there is nobody as perfect for me as you, O Ram. And the very next moment she goes to Lakshman. She has no problem. She doesn't argue with Bhagavan and say, no, I only want you. Yeah, okay. Lakshman and Lakshman, either one. So she goes to him. Now Lakshman again, see what he does. Prabhu Biloki. He looks at Śrī Rāma. He's not looking at Śūrpanakhā either. Bole mridu pani. And he speaks to her in very soft, gentle words. Sundari. He calls her Sundari. Oh, beautiful one. Sunu, listen. Me unakara dasa. I am his servant. Who's Bhagavan's, right? I am his servant. Paradhina nahi tora supasa. I am dependent on him, and therefore you will not get what you're looking for by marrying me. If Bhagavan is being served by Lakshman, then if Śūrpanakhā gets married to Lakshman, he is telling her, you will have to serve me, I am only a servant of him. So you will lose out double. You will be the servant of the servant. Like that. I am his servant. But Prabhu Samartha, this Bhagavan is capable of anything. And Kosalapura Raja, he is the king of this land of Ayodhya. Jo kachu karahi unahi sabachaja. He can do whatever he wants. So if he's already married, but if he wants to get married another time, then he can. He is sovereign. There is nobody who will challenge him or ask him, why have you married again, or anything like that. He can do whatever he wants. In other words, you should marry him. Now, very interesting thing is said by Lakshmanji, which is just generally good for us to understand. Sevaka sukha chaha mana bikhari vyasani dhana subhagati bibhichari lobhi jasu chaha chara gumani nabha duhi dudh chahata ihi prani. There are certain desires which, if entertained by certain people, then that desire is equivalent to taking milk from the heavens or from the sky. Nabha duhi dudh chahata ihi prani. In other words, that desire will be impossible to fulfill. Right? Where would you get milk from in the sky? You can't find a cow. That desire is impossible. Now, which desires? Sevaka sukhachaha. If somebody says that my job in life is only to serve. If somebody is committed to service, then they cannot desire any pleasure or happiness for themselves. Because if I desire personal pleasure or happiness, my seva, my service will go out the window, right? Then that service will not be a priority. So what is said is that if you are serving in this world, then don't give any time to think about, but how will I be happy? Fulfillment should come through that seva. So this is one. Then mana bhikhari. Say somebody is not putting forth any effort to help themselves, and instead is just asking for help from everyone around them. One is to ask for help is good, right, when it's needed. But generally we ask for help when we are not able to help ourselves. If I'm perfectly capable of doing something for myself, and instead I keep asking everyone, please can you do this for me? Please can you give me this? Please can you give me that? And then I expect man, means I expect respect or honor, I will not get it. Because people will think, why are you being so helpless? You have the capability. Bhikhari here means not just a beggar, but somebody who is not even trying. And then expects, oh, everybody should help me, but also everybody should respect me and give me great honor. Vyasani dhana, somebody who has some addiction, that person desires wealth. That addiction will be the cause of loss of all wealth. So that wealth will not come to that person. Then, subhagati bibhichari, somebody who is doing all sorts of negative actions in life. That person wants that in the next life or after this life, I should have all enjoyments, etc. In other words, I should have a good gati, right? I should have a good destination after this. I do everything wrong, but I should be rewarded. That also won't happen. Then, lobhi jasuchaha. Somebody who is, lobhi means somebody who is very greedy. That person wants, jasa means yash, wealth. Fame. A greedy person wants fame. That also won't happen. If anything, there will be infamy only. Right? Fame comes when we're ready to give, not just to take. Chara gumani, somebody who is, gumani means who is very arrogant. That person expects 4. Now, what is this 4? 4 means the four goals of life: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Somebody who's very arrogant and expects I should be able to attain all 4. All of this is like trying to get milk from the sky. It's very interesting to think about. You know, when you read chopai like this and you think you could spend hours or days unfolding. There is so much, right, in some of these dohas and chopai, in all of them actually. But we are also going to keep moving. Lakshmanji says this to Śūrpanakhā. So now, Puni Phiri Rama Nikata so ai. So now again she turns around and she goes to Bhagavan. And again, Prabhu Lakshmana Pahi Bahuri Pathai. Again, Bhagavan sends her back to Lakshman. Now she is just not understanding that what she's doing here is wrong. She just doesn't get it, right? That neither of them are accepting her, neither of them are even looking at her. That message is not getting through. So now Lakshman says very bluntly, Śūrpanakhā, dohi so barai, that person will marry you. Jo trina tori, laja pariharai, who has given up all shame. Only that person will marry you. In other words, only somebody as shameless as you will get married to you. Now she gets so angry. Taba khisiyani Rama pahi gai. She gets so angry and she goes to Ram. Rupa bhayankara pragatata bhai. She now manifests her, this terrible form. And Sita hi sabhaya dekhi raghurai. Now she is looking really awful. How she's looking is not described. That's up to your imagination, how you see Śūrpanakhā with her nails and her everything else. But Bhagavan sees Sitaji is getting scared. Okay? So, kaha anuja sana sayana bujhai. He makes some sign to his younger brother, to Lakshman. Now, what sign he gives or how he gives it, none of that is said. But he gives some sign. And immediately what happens? Lakshman ati laghava so nakakana binukinhi. Very quickly, he cuts her nose and ears. Literally, he makes her without nose and ears. Very quickly. Take kara ravanakaha mano chunoti dinhi. Now what has happened? Through Śūrpanakhā, this message has been sent to Ravana. Right? That we are, chunoti means it's as though like throwing down this challenge. That you can't come here and keep terrorizing all good people. We are here to defend what is right. Because of course now Śūrpanakhā will go running to first her other 2 brothers and then finally to Ravana. That we'll see. Okay. So here, what the other thing that we see here is everything about Śūrpanakhā is false. When she appears in front of them, she takes on a false form. Okay? She lies to Bhagavan about being unmarried. Her desire is also false. And therefore, this is why also you see they don't pay any attention to her directly. Because such things are not worth giving time to, right? Not that Bhagavan and Lakshmana are making fun of her. But, if anybody approaches you with some, covered intention, if anybody comes to you pretending to be something that you're not, that they're not, then really what you want them to do is just drop the falsity, right? And just come as you are. So Śūrpanakhā has come in all this disguise. She's lying about who she is. Now Bhagavan says the sooner that she reveals herself, the better. That's why this whole thing happens, and Lakshman then cuts her nose and ears, because then now everything will progress as it should. So now what happens, we'll see next time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.